What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Charles Enoch. You already know we back with another Invest in Myself episode. So run the intro. So today we'll be talking about which credit card should we pay off first when we use Velocity Banking. But before we get started, make sure smash that like button and subscribe button for me. My goal is to reach 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year, so I appreciate anybody that takes the time to do so. So I wanted to bring up the question, when you're using Velocity Banking and you want to pay off multiple credit cards, which one should you focus on first? So the first thing to note, credit cards are calculated by simple interest. So when you're using the method to put your income onto your credit card to reduce interest, or if you pay the credit card in full that month to avoid interest and then use your credit card to pay your expenses, which credit card should you focus on first? Should it be the one with the larger balance and lower interest rate, or should it be the one with the lower balance and higher interest rate? You ready for the answer? It all depends. There is not a one size fits all answer. Better yet, there is an equation that you should be using to determine which credit card you want to pay off first. Now, when we understand how simple interest is calculated, we can use that equation to figure out which credit card is charging us the most interest. Basically, the one draining the most cash flow. And once we know that, we can focus on the credit card we want to pay down first. So I know this might sound confusing, but you already know I have a whiteboard scenario and we will break this thing down. Let's go. All right, so we're on the whiteboard. Let's get to the scenario here. So we have an individual, their income is going to be $4,500. Expenses are going to be $4,200. Included within those expenses, the rent is going to be $2,000. In their cash flow, which is the income $4,500 minus your expenses of $4,200, left over, they'll have $300. So that'll be their cash flow. Now, this individual has two credit cards and they don't know which one to pay off here first. So credit card number one is going to have $8,000 with a high interest rate of 35%. Now, credit card number two is going to have a balance of $17,000 with the interest rate of 14%. Now, to keep this simple, both credit cards, they're going to have a minimum payment of $200 per month. So let's take a look and see which one we should be paying off first. So we'll be using the simple interest formula to figure out which one is accruing more interest per month here. So credit card number one, we're going to take 8,000, which is the 8,000 of debt that we have, times that by 0.35, which is the interest rate of 35%. We're going to divide that by 12 because there's 12 months within a year. So we see that the interest charge is $233 per month. Now, credit card number two is 17,000. We're going to times that by 0.14, which is the 14% interest rate, divide that by 12. And we're going to see that we have $198.33 that interest that's being charged here. So the credit card that we definitely want to focus on is credit card number one because it's taking majority of our cash flow. All right, so we're on the other side of the board. Let's take a look at the formula of what we're doing here. So I broke it down into 5 simple steps. So let's take a look at step one. So the first thing, when we get our income in, we're going to pay our rent, keep a roof over our head. So the rent is $2,000 and we're going to pay our credit card number two, the minimum payment of $200 here. Now for step two, the rest of your income, which is going to be $2,300, we're going to put that onto credit card number one. So once we do that, the balance on credit card number one is going to be $5,700. Remember, credit card number one had a debt balance of $8,000. We're putting $2,300 on it. Now, step number three, we're going to pay all other expenses using our credit card, using credit card number one, right? So remember, the rent was $2,000 and credit card two was $200. So if we take that out of the $4,200 of expenses, we only have $2,000 of expenses left. So we'll use our credit card to pay that. So in summary, we put $2,300, part of our income, onto credit card number one. Now, when we did that, we paid $2,000 in expenses. So $2,000 went out, but $2,300 went in. So this is $300 of cash flow on your credit card. You just left it on there. But the thing is, we want to stuff as much income onto that credit card to reduce the interest, because with simple interest, the interest is calculated daily. So if we look at step number 4, our balance on our credit card is $7,700. Pretty much that $300 of cash flow got left on the credit card to pay that down. Now, for step number 5, we want to calculate how much interest accrued during the month here. So with expenses, I know that, you're paying these daily, weekly, or whatnot, but we're going to keep it simple here. So with the simple interest, we're going to take a look when the credit card amount is $7,700, how much that is accruing per day here. So for simple interest, we're going to take that 7,700 times that by 0.35, and then we're going to divide it by 365, because there's 365 days in a year. And we see that it's charging us $7.38 per day when that is the debt amount on your credit card. Now, when the credit card debt amount is $5,700, pretty much when we stuff that $2,300 in there, this is the simple interest that accrued, right? So $5,700, we're going to times that by 0.35, divide that by 365. Now, when we put that $2,300 in there, and you don't want to pay your expenses until pretty much, as close as you can to the last day, because when the balance is $5,700, it's only charging you $5.46 of interest per day. So that's why we want to, once we get our income, stuff it on that credit card. And when expenses come due, then you pay it that day. Pay the expense, because you want to leave as much income in there as possible. So let's say that half the time the credit card had a balance of $5,700 on it, and the other half the time it had $7,700 here. So for 15 days it had the 5,700, 15 days it had the 7,700. So if we do the math here, the 5,000 or $5.46 per day, when the balance is this, we times that by 15, we get $81.98. Now, if we do that for the $7.38, times that by 15, we get the $110.70, which equals $192.68 of total interest that happened that month. So if we look at the cash flow, the total cash flow, we had our $300, and then we're going to minus $192.68, which equals $107.32 of true cash flow. And remember, this goes down every single month because you're stuffing more in there, and there will be less debt on here. So again, with the true cash flow, we have the $300, but with the $200 minimum payment, part of our expenses, we're not sure how much interest is accruing at the end of the month, because you're going to have to put that within part of the expenses or the money left over here. So $300, we know that once we use that simple interest calculation, that $192.68 is being charged in interest, which would take away from our cash flow. So this is a method to know what your true cash flow is, and a method to know which credit card to pay off first. So hopefully this made sense. If you liked the video, remember to give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. If you want me to do another scenario of which credit card we should pay off first, and how to figure out what your true cash flow is after interest for that month, definitely leave a comment down below. You can also email me with your numbers or a specific scenario, and I'll do that on the board as well too. And like always, you guys have a blessed day. Peace out.